us a bit how you heard about Charlie Kirk and why you decided to go to yesterday's event.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So, the first time I ever heard about Charlie Kirk was actually last month, and it was from some of my friends at Speech and Debate in my Speech and Debate League, and they all really liked listening to him, and they're all very politically active, and so I decided that the next event I had a chance to go to,
I believe, is the answer to this. We can return violence.
President Trump appeared on Fox and Friends this morning. He weighed in on the suspect in the killing of Charlie Kirk.
I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody. Okay? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. You know, getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. We started off with a clip that made him look like an ant. That was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. You know, I'd like to tell you some stories at how it happened, but essentially somebody that was very close to him turned him in. And that happens when you have some of those good shots. Somebody is going to say, whether it's a parent or whatever, I'd rather not say right now. They're going to announce it today, sometime later, probably talk about that. But somebody close to him turned him in.
Trump also said he spoke with Charlie Kirk's wife yesterday, adding that she's devastated by her husband's murder. Trump said that she's heartbroken, but still wants to keep Turning Point USA going. Turning Point is the nonprofit founded by Kirk. The president also addressed crime, mentioning a new target city for federal law enforcement.
We're going to straighten out the crime in these cities. He said, sir, Memphis would be good because he's on the board of FedEx. He said, when I walk 1 block to my hotel, they won't allow me to do it. They put me in an armored vehicle with bulletproof glass to take me 1 block. He said, it's so terrible. I said, let me ask you a question. So we're going to Memphis. I'm just announcing that now, and we'll straighten that out. National Guard and anybody else we need. And by the way, we'll bring in the military, too, if we need it.
Trump said both the mayor is happy and the governor is happy about the pending deployment. The mayor is a Democrat and the governor is a Republican. Trump said the city is deeply troubled and that they're going to fix that just like they did in Washington, where he sent in the National Guard
fix violence in red states.
Trump has openly discussed sending troops to crime-plagued cities like Chicago and Baltimore. He says he would have preferred going to Chicago, but suggested it was a hostile place with what he described as professional agitators. And the killing of Charlie Kirk is sending shockwaves through the political landscape. Lawmakers say they're on heightened alert.
I think it's undeniable now that we've got to beef up security on every member.
And many are calling for leaders to bring down the temperature on political rhetoric.
We must come together. Our responsibility is to de-escalate this environment, to reduce the level of chaos that is at risk right now in this country.
The 31-year-old founder of Turning Point USA is credited with helping rally young voters to conservative causes. Vice President J.D. Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance escorted Erica Kirk in her husband's casket to Phoenix on a flight to board Air Force Two from Salt Lake City. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump says he plans to award Kirk a posthumous Presidential Medal of Freedom and will attend his funeral in Arizona.
Charlie Kirk was a great person, a great man, great in every way, especially with youth. And what he did, what this man did, was disgraceful.
And across the nation, mourners gathered yesterday to pay tribute to Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. NTD's Daniel Monahan shares their thoughts on Kirk's death and legacy.
In Phoenix, Arizona, a memorial drew emotional tributes from supporters, some likening Kirk's death to that of civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr.
I've heard some comparisons, and I think I'm okay with it. It is equivalent to losing Martin Luther King. Someone that was a voice for the people, someone that was true in his faith, and life was stolen from us. And I think we're all feeling that right now.
We're here to pay our respects to Charlie Kirk. He was able to do something for our country that has never been done before, for our youth, spreading awareness about God, family, country. He was taken too soon.
To watch him grow and watch
the movement that he started just touched so many hearts and souls, and he's leaving quite a legacy. And I think that's something we're all here to celebrate, and we're all here to just remember what he stood for.
He did so. Hundreds of Texas college students also mourned the death of Charlie Kirk on Thursday at Texas A&M University in College Station.
It's definitely shocking about what happened, but all we can do is pray and look to the Lord for guidance. And I think that this really will be the turning point that Charlie's been preaching and been doing since he started.
And it is very concerning that some people are believing that people with different ideas or different values should be silenced, and people who are even thinking use of violence to do so is right, or people who are supporting that. I think that's a very dangerous state right now.
I was just monitoring the entire situation the entire time, hoping that that he would come back and that he would survive. Unfortunately, God decided to call him home, and I do take comfort in at least that fact.
But right now, seeing all these people come in support, not just for Charlie, but for the freedom of speech, and also for our country and for God, it's amazing.
Students at Florida Atlantic University also gathered on Thursday to mourn Kirk.
He helped millions of people in this world, and his message is still going to go on. We're still going to say his name every day. We're still going to be a part of Turning Point. Turning Point next year and even this year is going to be bigger than ever.
Charlie Kirk knew that free speech is at threat, and it always is, really. I don't think there's a time ever that it isn't. And so his intention was to keep free speech prevalent and operational on college campuses where it should be most protected, right?
Meanwhile, Ben Shapiro Thursday disputed rumors about canceling a speaking tour following Kirk's murder. Shapiro vowed to continue telling the truth. Shapiro says Americans are not going to be deterred, adding that Charlie's voice is not silent. MSNBC has fired Matthew Dowd as an analyst following comments suggesting Kirk had it coming, saying, quote, "You can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and then not expect awful actions to take place." Dowd also said, "We don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration." And DC Comics has canceled the just-released Red Hood comic book series after the author made inflammatory comments about Charlie Kirk's death. Gretchen Felker Martin allegedly wrote on social media after the news of his death, quote, "Hope the bullet's okay." Another post referred to Kirk as a Nazi, followed by an expletive. In a statement, a spokesperson for DC Comics says comments that can be viewed as promoting hostility are inconsistent with the company's standards of conduct. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
2 universities fired employees for their remarks about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Military officials also say they're aware of inappropriate social media posts. Middle Tennessee State University said it had fired one of its employees who had direct contact with students. The University of Mississippi's chancellor said it had also terminated employment for one of its staff members. Baylor University said this week that it was aware of and disappointed by a comment a graduate student made about the shooting. Baylor announced it had declined to take any disciplinary action against the student. The Coast Guard said it was investigating an inappropriate social media activity by one of its personnel. Navy Secretary John Felon said he was aware of posts about Kirk. He added that the Navy would swiftly and decisively deal with employees whose actions discredit the department. Charlie Kirk's influence felt across the nation, even in the wake of his horrific murder. Our expert panel will reflect on Kirk's life and legacy and the path ahead as new details emerge about the now apprehended suspect. Amid a historic blockade of presidential nominees, Republicans have invoked the so-called nuclear option. We'll break down what that means.
He was aware of posts about Kirk. He added that the Navy would swiftly and decisively deal with employees whose actions discredit the department. The NFL held a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk ahead of Thursday night's game in Green Bay, Wisconsin. The founder and president of Turning Point USA was shot and killed Wednesday while speaking at a Utah university. Ahead of the moment of silence, the stadium announcer said the NFL condemns violence and will take all of us to stop hate. Charlie Kirk supporters
and he was an example to the rest of us, someone else that was in our age range that understood the generation that we were in, and he was an example to us that we don't have to be afraid, that we can stand up for our beliefs eloquently and peacefully without fear.
His intention was to keep free speech prevalent and operational on college campuses where it should be most protected, right? That's what a university is for.
And a lot of the problems today is because there's two sides to every story, but both sides won't respect the other side's opinion. And I think it's tragic what happened to Charlie Kirk. What a wonderful young man he was.
Really to commemorate his life, what he stood for, what he stood against, and really an end to political violence, because it shouldn't be that we should live in a world where, just for having an opinion you should be killed. I think that's abhorrent, and it's a really negative turn for Western civilization.
That we will all start speaking out. We will all become a Charlie.
Malia, Charlie was a leader. Why was his movement and message able to resonate with people, not just in the United States, but as we just saw there, around the world?
I think because he simply spoke the truth and he spoke common sense values, and that transcends even political ideology, or it should. And people find solace in someone that is willing to forge ahead and say what might be unpopular because it's true and because the truth matters. And I think that in a world as crazy as ours right now, I know something Charlotte said earlier was kind of the last normal year it feels like that we had was 2019. And so for the past 5 years, just insane things have been happening, whether it's been, targeted assassinations of our president or of prominent political leaders like Charlie, or masking our children and locking down businesses, and just nonsensical things that have been happening for 5 years at this point. I think people look to what is true and what is right, and Charlie was the embodiment of that. And I know we, just showed a few clips, and we're rolling tapes of vigils across the country and across the world. And I just wanted to let everyone know, if they're in the DC area, that we are having a DC vigil for Charlie tomorrow at 6 p.m. The location is yet to be announced, but you can find it online. My Twitter, Malia, MALIA _Shirley, SHIRLEY, or I'll let Charlotte plug her as well. We have the registration link there, and registration is required, and it will be safe and secure, and we hope that anyone in the DC area will come celebrate Charlie's life and legacy with us.
Charlotte, as somebody who participated at Turning Point, you've seen this movement grow beyond our nation, with Charlie's message, spreading across the world. I actually was getting text messages this morning from people in South Korea absolutely devastated by it, and they're having their own vigils there and parades and marches just for Charlie Kirk in South Korea. How has he been able to penetrate and touch people from all across? And tell us a little bit more about what people can expect at that vigil right here in the nation's capital tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's astounding to watch Charlie's influence, and it has absolutely exploded into this massive event. And that honestly is just me, Malia, going back to our roots and doing what we know best, which is mobilizing people, getting them engaged, getting them involved. And we don't know how. There's nothing else we know how to do except do that and to honor Charlie's legacy. So please come. My Twitter is @_Charlotte Press. I'm pretty sure that's the right one. Just CharlottePerez. And so we definitely look forward to seeing everybody there, and looking forward to it.
And it sounds like it's going to be a message of hope and love and peace. And it's funny too, Charlotte, as you mentioned, Charlie's political prospects. When you look back and think of everything that he's achieved, which is so much, he wasn't even of legal age to be the president of the United States or run for president, and wasn't going to be there for quite some time. 35 the age, died at 31. Amid her grief, Mrs. Erica Kirk reflected on Charlie's legacy and said the work he began will continue. Here's a look.
If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die.
Charlotte, we heard from Charlie's widow, Erica, that we just saw and heard from right there last night. A lot of questions that many in the conservative circle were wondering is, we're going to carry the torch, but who would be the torch bearer? Erica Kirk, extremely powerful words. How can Charlie continue to be an inspiration as supporters take up his mission?
I think Erica said it perfectly. Charlie has an army of people behind him who are ready to go to war for him at any date and time, and that has not changed, and that will never change. Charlie's inspiration. I think we saw that we've had 18,000 people reach out to people over at Turning Point USA, Turning Point Action. How can we get involved? Or Turning Point Action. My old coworkers are telling me today they've had so many people apply to come into work for Turning Point. We've had multiple students reach out about how to create a chapter on campus. I don't know if it's possible to create more chapters. They cover everywhere. So, I think that's going to be incredible to watch. I mean, the movement is only just beginning. And like Erica said, they have no idea what they have unleashed. And she is speaking the truth. They watched us back in November, 24 after they tried to take out our incredible president, and they watched us get him across the finish line no matter what. They are going to see a vengeance from the conservative movement and from the Turning Point family like they've never seen. And quite frankly, I'm very excited for it.
To that point, Malia, Charlie launched Turning Point out of his parents' garage as an 18-year-old with no money, no name recognition, really just a thought and a dream. Since then, Matt from Turning Point USA has a message out on X saying that they have 18,000 new chapter requests since Erica spoke. He said that Turning Point had 9,000 college chapters and 1,100 high school chapters prior to this. Really an astronomical uptick of requests for chapters. Where do you see Turning Point USA going from here?
The only place to go is forward. And as Charlotte said, there are so many people committed to continuing Charlie's legacy. Of course, Erica will be such a prominent part of this, and everyone in the current Turning Point family but everyone who, might have been a little politically apathetic before, this has ignited something within people, the likes of which we have never seen. And as Charlotte said, I look forward to seeing people's involvement, seeing the way that they get involved through establishing chapters, signing up with their local county parties, chasing ballots in midterms next year, whatever that looks like, whatever their abilities and strengths and talents and capacities are. Charlie was an example. He started Turning Point with nothing out of his parents' garage, and he is the epitome of what it means to work hard, to put your nose to the grindstone, and as he always said, be better, work harder. And that's what we're going to continue to do, and that's what everyone who knew him, loved him, or even just admired him and looked to him, we're all going to do it for him.
Charlotte Perez, Malia Shirley, we just want to thank you sincerely for coming on at this really difficult moment as you continue to mourn a very close friend that you knew so well. We really appreciate your perspective tonight. And we're going to leave the audience tonight with a clip from a tribute video for Charlie Kirk put out by the White House earlier yesterday.
Only in America is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it. Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things, for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength?
From the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., I'm Steve Lance. Thank you so much for joining us tonight to honor Charlie Kirk's short life of remarkable conviction. As we mourn his loss, we come together to carry his legacy forward, to heal division through open discussion, and to turn to faith amid confusion.
There are real consequences to controlled media. And NTD's founders